All right, there we go. We're recording. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Peasant Party podcast. I am your host, Charlotte Warren. Realize I never introduce myself when I do the little.
Oh, for real? You don't?
Yeah, no, I don't know why I don't. I think I usually am just like eager to get to the guest, or like I don't know. I'm still new at this too, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like trying to figure out what works, what sounds good.
Sure.
But yeah, that is me. I'm your host, back for another episode, as is my co-host sitting right across from me. It's just the two of us today.
Hi.
Hey, you want to reintroduce yourself?
Okay. I am Annabelle, the co-host of now, I guess 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And I'm your sister.
Yeah, you are. What's new with you?
Oh, what is new with me? I went rock climbing for the first time ever, like 2 days ago.
What?
And it is my new passion.
Oh gosh, are you gonna be one of those climbing people?
I'm gonna be a rock climber girly, I think. I don't know.
What were you doing at a rock climbing gym?
My coworker's super into it, and he's been trying to get us to go forever. And honestly, the only reason I didn't go before is because I had super long acrylic nails for like a year. I had like insane, ridiculously long acrylic nails for like no reason other than I was just like, I don't know. I was in a mood last summer, I guess. And I couldn't go rock climbing, but I finally got rid of them. So I'm going more granola girly by the moment.
Ooh, so I ended up with a granola boy.
Yeah.
Last time I talked to you, you're single, and then another time you came back and said you were single-ish. How is everything going with that?
I don't remember the rest of that. Yeah. Wow. How do I describe that? It's hard to describe without coming forward with
Too much information.
too much.
I would never ask you to reveal any.
Yeah, no, I'm not like. See, I'm seeing one person. I would say. How does that sound? Because you're very particular about the vernacular when it comes to, like, am I talking to him?
Well,
I'm only with
that's all. That's on the agenda actually to talk about today. So we're gonna go through that.
I don't know.
Well, we'll have to figure that out. We'll figure that out today, and maybe you'll get some more answers. And everyone loves clarity.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Yeah. Love that. Or maybe you'll end up with some rock climber boy, and then you'll be like,
Oh my God. Yes, I would love that. A little Yosemite boy.
I can see you with an
Hydro
outdoorsy guy.
flask.
Not the hydro flask. Not the hydro
Dude,
flask.
I haven't been camping in I don't know how many fucking years, dude. I'm not an outdoor girly.
Me either. I feel like I'm kind of, like, I guess I don't want to say like traumatized from camping growing up, but like because we did Girl Scouts growing up, right? So Annabelle and I are former Girl Scouts. We did it growing up. Our mom was a leader, and oh my God, some of these like camping trips and Girl Scouts is just it's a great thing to do like when you're young.
Dude, I fucking ride for Girl Scouts.
I ride for
hard
Girl Scouts.
They're
But sometimes when you're like a middle school kid and then they've got kids that are younger that are
dragging you along. Oh, yeah.
and you got all these hokey things you got to do. You're 13, you want to be cool.
Yes.
And then you have to go on camping trips, and then you have to they're like, wear this bright yellow T-shirt and a bucket hat. It's like,
dude, they were mad dorky about it. Boy Scouts got to like shoot rockets in the desert and shit.
Oh my God! And here, I remember we were sewing ornaments. There was like this one. There was this one. It was like Christmas time, and the project was like sew ornaments. It's the type of ornaments my mom likes to make, and I think she thought it was going to be an easy project. But no, you cannot teach a bunch of like 12-year-olds to sew fucking Christmas ornaments. And she was getting like so mad that we were not learning to sew these freaking ornaments. And I was just like, Mom, I don't want to sew these ornaments. And she was like, to like take it away and get all mad.
Yeah, dude. It was just such like a, I don't know, so like a grandmotherly thing. You know, we were always doing little fucking like decoupage.
Oh my God.
Artsy crap.
There's like, there's certain things from like Girl Scouts that I never want to freaking do again.
Okay, but can I, back to camping, can I ask something? Being on Hinge lately, I don't know so much if Tinder has it, but Hinge specifically, I feel like every single dude, like, posts all of the pictures of him, like, doing outdoorsy shit. Like, every hot guy, there's, like, a picture of him cliff jumping. Or, like, riding a little bike in, like, Barcelona. And, like, doing some crazy, like, or, like, camping out in the on the mountains, like in front of a pristine view. And when I see that shit, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's gonna drag me fucking.
So I think it could be a few things. So first I think like guys don't take a lot of pictures anyway, and they tend to take pictures at moments that are like a big deal. Like I don't like when we go out to happy hour, I'm like, my hair looks good, take my picture. Like guys don't really do that, so that's why I think there's so many like fish pictures and stuff.
Okay, okay.
That's when
Achievements.
they take pictures. Achievements, accomplishments, like hunter. Like it's like
it makes them look wildly too, and I'm sure it makes them look adventurous.
Yeah, and I think it's like the pictures they have to choose from. But I also think there's like an instinct in all of us, and maybe I think like when I've seen like women's Hinge profiles, they kind of look similar, where it's like showing off that you are this worldly, cultured, well-traveled person.
God, mine's not at all.
Seen the world. Because I personally think like all these people who claim they like hiking don't like it as much. Like no one just wants to say I like to go out and drink with my friends. Like everyone wants to sound like this wholesome person with real hobbies.
Yes.
So I would be curious how many of these people, like men, women, or otherwise, like are actually committed to said hobby that they're pictured doing or they say they like. Because I think like maybe it's they're overselling themselves. Because yeah, like I said, no one wants to be like, what's your favorite thing to do? I don't know, drink with my friends. Just mix it.
Yeah, it's not your best foot forward for sure.
I would agree with that. Yeah, no, there's a lot of those. At least you don't live in Denver. Those types of people are all over the place.
Yeah, well, no, Patagonia, dude. No, like I'm not. I can't. Dude, the granola girly thing. I think it's so funny because like men are always, when you ask them like what their dream woman is, pretty much it's like, oh, girl who like doesn't need to wear like a natural girl. I love a girl with like a natural look. And I'm like, and like they'll say that to me, not realizing that I'm like 60% plastic. And I'm like, okay, well, fucking granola Sarah is, I'm sure, sitting at home waiting for her like Prince Charming, the type of bitch that Jonah Hill thought his girlfriend was supposed to be. And it's like,
I don't know.
No. I'm not like that at all. I'm not. Ugh, I can't.
Yeah, I think it's also just like when you're on one of those like big mainstream dating apps, you see everybody, and like you have to sift through a lot of people that like aren't your type to find people that are your type. But I think you've got a specific type.
I do have a specific type. I'm a sucker for like a lead singer in like a hardcore band. Like if they have pictures of them like screaming into a mic with like a gritty filter and like tats, like that's. Oh my God.
Good thing you live in Austin.
That's God tier.
You do have to sift through some outdoorsy people though.
Oh, got it.
But if it makes you feel better, I think a lot of outdoorsy people are liars because we all just want to say that our hobby isn't just drinking with our friends.
I'm in touch with nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get a good night's sleep last night?
I did. You know what? I did. You know what I did? I went to bed at like 11.
Nice. Are you a snob with your sleep?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. I need dead silence and total quiet, and I need it to be like, I have to like sleep in a certain position. Yes, I'm a snob with my sleep. Very much so.
I both. Do you think, okay, we're jumping into our topics today.
Yeah.
Do you think people's styles of sleeping or their, how they go about sleep can affect a relationship? So if you think of like a couple, everyone talks about like, oh, sleeping together in the euphemism sense, like, and by euphemism, I mean sex, haha. No, but people talk about sleeping together that way, but not a lot of people talk about, the logistics of sleeping together or sleeping next to each other.
Oh my God.
And some of the kerfuffles that can come with that. And some people have very different sleep patterns. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm curious because like, you've lived with significant others in the past. And, I think sometimes like, and for me too, I've come across like the issue of having different sleeping styles. And I feel like it's something you don't really think about, like how it can affect a relationship, but it totally can.
It's huge. 100%. Like I've tried to train myself to like be better about this. I don't know. I can't. I don't know if you are the same way, but like with noise, if it's like a low hum and it's consistent, like I can fall. That's like white noise. But somebody snoring, deal breaker. Immediate deal breaker. I can't. If you snore, we are done. I don't care how much I love you. Like, if you can't fix that, like, it will drive you to the point of insanity. I'm not losing sleep like that. for a man to snore. No, I will not do it.
Yeah.
That's huge. I also have a king bed.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved to Austin, that was my one thing. I was like, I want a king bed.
It makes all the difference.
I love a king bed. I know that's like so like luxury of me. It's like probably so unnecessary, but I love to have it.
No, I totally agree. So, no, the king bed makes all the difference. No, one of my like past relationships, like a few years back, I had a queen bed, and I'm pretty sure he had a queen bed himself. But when he would come over and you would sleep over, the size difference in a king and a queen is so different. But yeah, he would get like, night sweats. He would also like, because I'm
You
not
get night sweats.
Yes, it was. And some people get it. It happens. It happens. But it was just I'm a hot sleeper already. But something that what he would also do, and I've had other like exes do this in the past, is I'm not a cuddly sleeper. Are you a cuddly sleeper?
Fuck no, dude. Get the fuck off of me.
Oh my god, same. So I am not a cuddly sleeper.
Don't touch me.
No, like for me, and it's nothing personal. Like I've going into like my current relationship, like I was definitely like, hey, like just heads up, like it's nothing personal. I am not a cuddly sleeper.
Nothing personal. I am gonna build a wall of pillows between us. Do not breathe on me.
But yeah, no, I'm not a cuddly sleeper, and like it's like if someone wraps their arm around me, like in my dreams, I will dream a rattlesnake is suffocating me, and I will punch them off of me.
Dude, you know what? I just remembered. Okay, I'm gonna be obscure about this, but like I remember I dated a guy who like this motherfucker. He was like a pretty big dude, and he like would mouth breathe when he slept, and so like I could just feel and smell his breath. It literally was probably like, I'd say that was probably like 15% of the reason why I broke up with him in the end, because I was like, I cannot bear another night of you like breathing on my face and having to like inhale, like mouth breathing. And just sharing a bed with a man who, dude,
no,
do it. Being too close in bed, it's just not. No. Is that just, I don't know, maybe I'm just like grossed out by men and male habits.
I think like everyone just sleeps differently, and people like overlook or underlook whatever the word is. How much it can matter, because like, especially too, it's like if someone prevents you from getting your full night's sleep, you are going to be very angry at that person. Like, you're going to be angry in general if it makes you.
Yes, you are.
Struggle through the days. You're going to resent that person. And it sucks that it's like, dude, they do it in their sleep. They're not consciously doing it, and people have like built up these sleeping habits since they were very young.
It's so like unfair, but it made me hate it.
But I mean, I'm on the flip side too. Like I've had it where it's like when I've said, hey, like I'm not a cuddly sleeper, like it's just someone taking it personally, where they're like, I like that like intimate time, and they're cuddly. They like, it makes them feel good and safe, and like my version of sleeping could be a deal breaker for somebody.
It's such a bummer. I know.
But I think it really matters. Like,
that's so sad. The time that you are unconscious, literally, like, matters.
And I'm such a weirdo when I sleep. I have this like pillowy sleep mask that I wrap over my eyes, and I don't sleep on top of pillows. I sleep under them and bury myself and make a little nest. And people like. I forget. Like, I think maybe it was like you guys, where it was like I was asleep in my bed. And you guys are like, it doesn't look like there's anybody here, hiding under the blankets.
You make a nest.
I make a little nest. And I have like a weighted blanket.
The weighted blanket.
I'm a snob. Like earplugs are useful, but they just like are itchy, so they just like I rip them out in the middle of the night. Yeah.
I fuck with earplugs. Earplugs are fire.
I have like weird ears. Like they're not big enough to fit an earplug. The right way.
Oh. Okay.
Or I don't know, which is a weird thing to say.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah. I think it's also crazy too, because especially if you think of like people that get, as you get older and you're still single as you're older, you're more independent, and then you go from having your own space to sharing a space, basically. And that includes like that sleep space.
I mean, just sharing a space in general, I feel like creates crazy tension. I wonder if men feel the same way about sharing their bed with women. I feel like men are like less like.
I think it depends on the person. I think there's some people where it's like there's something about their own space, like because I've I know of like guys who would be like I have to be in my own bed. It's a thing. Like sometimes for myself, like I feel like I would have had a whole bunch of casual sex, or could have had a whole bunch of casual sex, if I wasn't so much of like I like to sleep in my own bed.
I need my space.
I did so much of that where it's like sharing my bed with me is like a very special thing. Like I wonder if I cared less, like would I have racked up a bunch of craziness, but I have not.
True.
Bed is such a special sacred place.
Dude, spending the night in the bed of somebody that you just like kind of hooked up with is truly like the most uncomfortable experience. I feel like I never make it past like 3 a.m. Like I'll try to kind of fall asleep, but it's like I don't want to wake up here.
Yeah.
So like, ugh, I don't know.
It throws off your week. Like I have to to not sleep in my own bed or to share my bed. Like I have to really like you.
That's funny that some people are like clingers too. You know, like that's a stereotype where like the girl who sleeps over and doesn't want to leave in the morning and just wants to like eat breakfast at their house and like stay with them.
I honestly think that style of sleepover is not gendered, because I think like there are guys like. I've like
had guy clingers who like wouldn't leave.
No, like not wouldn't leave, but just really wanted to have that experience, like where it was like, oh, like yeah, you should can I come over? Like you should totally come over, and I'd be like, no, like just like those types of I guess like experiences. But yeah, like I think I think it's not gender, because I know of women too where it's just like they're like he won't leave, or like he came over for a movie and he thought it was going to be a sleepover, and it was kind of like, well,
my God, what a nightmare. And then you're always too polite to like say something, and then they just kind of like push their way through. Dude, that's
I think everyone's different with like what they like to do in terms of sleeping over. And one of our listeners actually has a question around that, so I figured we would start with us discussing, and then we're going to read our listener question. So gonna go into it. Here we go. Where's my listener question? All right. Listener question is really along this topic. And it's a male email. The subject line, how to say no to sleepovers without looking like a fuckboy. 26 male, been talking to, parentheses, or dating as you call it. That's the correct terminology. Thank you. For 2 months. Really like her and see it becoming a relationship soon. The problem I have is her wanting to sleep over on weeknights after we hang out. She'll come to my house and we'll watch a movie, hook up, and then the hangout becomes a sleepover. I have work in the morning, and it's always a struggle the first few hours of the morning after. I didn't mind it at first, but it's really starting to throw off my weeks. Parentheses, I fall asleep later, wake up to hear using the bathroom, feel too hot, that kind of thing. And the struggles are starting to add up, and I'm falling behind. I haven't said anything to her yet, but I know I need to, but I'm not sure how to do it without seeming like a fuckboy, kicking her out of my apartment right after sex. It's really just about work. I do like her, but I'm worried she'll think I'm just making excuses and take it personally. I really just need a good night's sleep. What do I say?
Damn. Okay, I actually have been in this position before. I had to work. I was doing like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shifts for a long time before I started tattooing, and like my boyfriend at the time was a bartender, so he would work until like 2 a.m. and I have to be up at 5 a.m. or whatever, and then he would like come to my apartment, like kind of I mean, it's similar, not the same situation, but like he would basically like keep me up and not exactly be like considerate or understanding of the fact that like I have to get up and do a 12-hour shift, and like it would absolutely take me the fuck out and it would piss me off. But I think that the way that this person just described this was so like respectful. I think he could very much like use a lot of the same words that he used in that email with her, and like just be super upfront. I'm curious what her job is.
He didn't say it. That's the thing, is like a lot of that's the annoying thing about the mailbag, is we can't look at the nuances, which is why we kind of unpack it in a way that's a bit more, like here's what you could do if this is this, then do that. I don't know what her job is. I also don't know how attached she is to these sleepovers, because he mentioned, they hook up, she just sleeps over. Part of me wonders, like, is this really all that? Like, is this thought that like, oh my God, she might freak out or have her feelings hurt? Would that even happen in the first place? Like, is she like, does she have some emotional attachment to these sleepovers? But I know like a lot of guys, it's like, they don't want to be called a fuckboy. Like, I feel like that's so many of my male emails is like, how do I do blank without seeming like a fuckboy? Because, there is a lot of noise out there to guys where it's like, this is fuckboy behavior, this isn't. And it seems like, obviously if you're going to write to a random stranger, you're trying to do the right thing.
I mean, and like he clearly likes her. I feel like you could just kind of be like, babe, like I love hanging out with you so much and I want to like continue to do it, but we really got to focus like our sleepover time like on the weekends.
So
because
yes, because I think my take would be like, make it, the less you make it like a thing or make it a spiel of like, we cannot do sleepovers. Like, the more she's gonna think like
that you're just like pushing her, setting about
exactly. Because it's like it's like the what was it like the Gavin DeBecker Gift of Fear book, where it's like if a person gives you too many details, it looks suspicious or weird. So if he goes to her and says, "I need to talk," like we need to talk. I can't be doing all these sleepovers. I'm falling so far behind. All of that. Like I think like maybe it would sound not as believable, and it might make her feel like it's her fault. Like I would say, when you go to invite her over, when she goes to ask you, like, hey, can I come over, like, on that weeknight, say, like, yeah, would love to have you over. Hey, just, hope you don't mind. Can we postpone any sleepovers until the weekend? I'm falling behind at work and, could use the extra sleep. And just keep it like that. And then, of course, like, if she, like, says, like, did I do something wrong? Then you say, like, hey, I really, like, I'm kind of falling behind at work. It's nothing against you, nothing personal.
And then you could, like, FaceTime her at night before work, too, and just so she knows that you're, like, being honest about going to bed early and, like, try, because it might trigger her to be like, he's not being honest. He wants to do something else on weeknights, and just be like, hey, look, this really is just a for me thing. You could even say, like, oh, yeah, we should maybe just do this or I just need this for like a couple weeks so I can like catch up on sleep. I'm feeling really
or just when you get to your like Friday night or Saturday night sleepover, like give her a big kiss and say, hey, thanks so much for being so understanding. I've really caught up on sleep this week. I'm gunning for a promotion at work, something like that. And it just means a lot to me that you're willing to be so flexible, and I'm so happy to have you here. And just if there's anything where it's like, oh, I wish I could sleep over, just channel the excitement to the weekend. Be like, well, we can have that sleepover on Friday. Like, like let's save that excitement for Friday, kind of thing. That's what I would say.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Cute.
Yeah, I like that idea. Cool. And something that kind of was in there was, you said dating somebody or talking, for 2 months. Do you think dating somebody for 2 months, so you've been going on dates, actively going on dates, and this isn't for that guy, I'm trying to that was an awkward transition. We're transitioning into a new thing. That was our solution for our listener. But dating somebody for 2 months, so you've been actively going on dates for the course of 2 months, do you think that's too long to be dating and not be in a relationship yet?
I guess it mostly depends on like what the two people have kind of just gone through. I think if they're coming out of like really intense relationships, or if they're coming out of like really difficult periods of their life, or they're in the midst of one, then no. But like on any other typical like timeline, honestly, yeah, I think that's too long. But I'm also like romantic, and I think it is like so unromantic when people are like, you have to wait 3 months before you say I love you. Like, what? No. No, you don't. You can say that whenever you want. Like, I don't know. I think that like the limitations, the like going that slow and whatever, I don't know. I don't really believe in it.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah. I think it's like different. Yeah, different for everybody. I think for me, I would be like, okay, like 2 months would kind of be where I'd max out.
If I'm with you 2 months, like, you're the love of my life. Like, yeah, I'm in focus. If I'm with you for 2 months, like, yeah,
I would know by then, but I also wonder about like the age thing. Like, everyone's different, but because I think of it like if I go on TikTok and scroll through TikTok, obviously TikTok is full of people that are in their early 20s, like in college, when they're just like a 9-month talking stage, or we were dating like exclusively seeing each other, but we weren't in a relationship for like 6 months, and then you have to do that before a relationship, and it's just like, what the, like, why are you guys just creating all these new stages? What's the point of that? Why kick the can down the road? What's the big fear around calling something a relationship when basically it seems like that's what you're doing with a few things left out? I don't know.
There is such a fear around, I think, because it's honestly, I feel like probably because like when you for me, the hesitation I would have to like put a relationship label on something is like the fear of embarrassment if it falls apart and everybody, you know, all of my friends and family who follow my life on the internet like saw that, you know, like if you hard launch your man and then you guys break up like 2 weeks later, it's low-key like super embarrassing. So I feel like the only reason, you know, I don't like that's blown up in my face too, you know, being very public about a relationship and then it like falls apart and it's like, man, like I like totally
Yeah, you and I both.
yeah.
Do you really think that's just that? Do you really think that's people's like main issue for just because I think what it seems like a lot of people do is they go through the motions of a relationship and they refuse to call it one, despite the fact that they are acting as such. And it's like, what is the hesitation of calling something a relationship versus, you know, not calling it one but doing all of the motions of it? Like what is like
Is
what
it a
to them
very
changes?
narrow loophole to like hook up with other people closes when you become in a relationship? Like if you were just still barely talking, like exclusive clearly, but that's not the label, and then one person hooks up with another one that was like,
You were never my boyfriend. You were never my girlfriend. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I think that's part of it. I think there's also like it comes with like people think it comes with a responsibility. Now maybe that responsibility hasn't shown up yet, but this idea of, you know, if a big opportunity comes up, it's a we conversation and not an I conversation. So say you get a great job opportunity, your dream job, and it's, you know, across the country.
Yeah.
You're only having the conversation with yourself versus other people, having to like bring that other person in the mix. I don't know. It does feel like a young conversation.
Yeah. That is so real.
Yeah, it feels like the people that are doing these like 9-month talking stages are younger and probably like aren't, you know, at that point in their life yet where those opportunities are coming up. But it does kind of feel like that. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think just in general these words that we use are terms, buzzwords, etc. to describe dating or, you know, dating type relationships, lowercase r relationships in the sense of, you know, romantic. You're getting to know somebody. Maybe you haven't made it official, you know, define the relationship, capital R relationship. Do you think the words...
Interesting. Never heard that.
Well, because all these things that we do, like when we go...
Lowercase relationship.
No, because when I say...
Capital.
A lot of times, well, because where that comes from, so on TikTok, a lot of times, I don't like to use a million words to describe different things. So I'll call, like, someone that you've been going on dates with or that you've been seeing, I'll say, like, you know, a relationship because, you know, these interactions of you and I have a relationship. We're sisters.
Right. Yes.
My friends and I, we have a relationship.
Yeah,
Everything.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
is a relationship.
Lowercase.
Yes.
Yes.
And
A
so people
friendship,
always are like, relationship is like, you know, capital R relationship.
Yes. Yeah. Your relationship with this person.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, damn. You're so right. Yeah.
Yes. Like, do you think the words that we use to describe our relationships with the lowercase r, do you think how we describe them and the words we choose matters?
Yeah. I think you know, that there is so much more new vocabulary for like all of these kind of niche things. And like, I don't know, I appreciate it. I appreciate like specific terms for like new experiences. And I mean, I think it's funny, like certain things that certain words that came about that we now kind of look at as like kind of hokey, but they do describe a specific thing. The first one that comes to mind is like mansplaining or like manspreading, you know, like shit like that. But it's like such a real thing, and like I like having those things to like help me identify certain experiences. A lot of times experiences that like women have, you know.
True.
So but yeah, so I'm trying to think of like what terms in relationships.
Well, I think, for example, calling something a talking stage, and not dating.
Yeah, exactly. But talking stage, yeah, and then like just having specifics. You know, it's not like, oh, she's being courted by him, and then there's the marriage, and then there's like we have like, you know,
we've done away with courting, we've done away with going steady. Someone was like, well, maybe we should bring back going steady. I'm like, no, we're not fucking nerds in the 50s. We're not doing this shit. No, we're not doing this shit.
Sweetheart, that's
oh my god. But no, because it's like if you like hear like Gen Z describe what the stages are leading up to a relationship, it is bizarre because they'll say like, well, first it's like hanging out, then it's hooking up, then it's talking, and then it's talking. Like, the word dating to them does not, like, if you mean, anything before a define the relationship conversation. Like, if you describe someone you are going on dates with for the course of a month and a half as dating, they will say, like, if you're not in a relationship, it doesn't count. No, you're in a talking stage.
Well, because I think younger generations are dating differently, like fundamentally differently. Those descriptions, I think, are being aptly applied to like the way that they are dating. Like, maybe our generations and earlier generations, like when we started dating, things were much more structured and like had like a much clearer trajectory. Whereas now, like young people dating, it's much more, there's just a lot more like variation, and there's reasons why they want to go slower, and like they're maybe more focused on other things. I think they just like really do fundamentally date differently.
That's true. No, I do see that. And it makes sense for people that are in like that college age range, because people at that age don't really date in the traditional sense. Like in college, you don't go on, you get picked up for a dinner date or something like that. You go and you say, are you going to so-and-so's party tonight?
Yes, or exactly.
Let's go study at the library. So you kind of do.
And those are like as meaningful, I think, as like a formal date. Like we bash on it, and it's like, oh, low effort, blah blah blah, like meeting. But I don't know. That's kind of how you get to know somebody, right? Like as a young person.
Yeah, I think in that age range, like, and I honestly think like at that age, don't go and try to do dating the way I talk about it. Like when I find out someone is following my content and being like, this is so crazy, this sounds so serious, and I realize they're in college, I say this is free. Come back when you're in your like mid-20s or something. Because I think personally, like, college kids, like, go hang out with your friends, like go to the parties, like have someone you like, ask them if they're going to the party, say, hey, want to go to like the cafeteria together or something, but like don't like waste your money on dates. Like, have experiences, like hang out with friends, like use that to meet people.
Yeah. Save your money to like travel to fucking Bali or whatever.
Bali? Oh, I don't know about that. I haven't been to Bali yet. I don't know if
That's what young people do, right?
I think so.
Bali actually is going to be like underwater very soon, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yep.
Good to know. Yeah, because, like, and that's how I got, like, that's kind of how I garnered an audience on TikTok, literally. I was fed up with people calling someone you've been actively going on dates with a talking stage. And you know the full story of how that all started.
Yes.
Ashley and I at brunch with Alice and everybody, and it was,
that's right.
Oh yeah, I remember, like, Phil, the guy you dated. And then she's like, we never dated. She brought him to her company holiday party. They were going on dates for like a month and a half. And I described him as Phil
dated.
And I was like, what was it? No, it was a talking stage.
Okay.
And it was just a whole back and forth. And I was like, she ended with saying, agree to disagree.
Oh, really, Ashley? Well, now there's a podcast.
Shout out, Ashley. Now there's a podcast about it. But yeah, like, so it really, it was able to capitalize on that. But I firmly believe, like, I don't know, like, and personally, like, I do think sometimes those words matter. Like, if I had been dating somebody, hadn't been in a relationship yet, and then they referred to what we were doing as talking, or if I described us as dating and they went, whoa, like, that would say a lot to, like, that would signal a lot to me about, like, how they saw things. Like, if someone refused to call what we were doing dating, if we were going on dates,
that exposes them a lot.
I think so. And some people say, like, words are just words. Like, some people like to call it talking. They think that dating just means in a relationship. But I do think if someone's that scared of the word dating to the point where they would correct you or, like, freak out like that, it's like,
what is that person even doing, dude? That's so silly.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Whoa. Like, what are you even doing here then?
Exactly.
Wasting everybody's time.
Wasting everyone's time. And I think our next mailbag question has kind of a bit to do with that. And this one's kind of a long one. So I wanted to make sure we took the time to answer it. Female email, which the female emails are always longer. Female email. Woo. I, female 32, started seeing this guy, male 31, a month ago. Really enjoy my time with him. Seems mutual. We spend almost every night together, enjoy the same activities. So time spent together is productive and easy. I didn't realize incorporating someone in your life could be this happy and natural. Last weekend, he asked me, do you want to date? I asked what he meant by that, and he replied, I'm not seeing other people. I said I wasn't either. Beyond that, no further clarity. We continued the week as usual. I've deleted my dating apps, as has he, weeks ago. Because we spend so much time together, I've met some of his friends and extended family, and he's met some of my friends, and I've taken him to a couple of hobbies. One thing I struggle with is how to introduce him. I train working dogs. I took him to the club with me this weekend and wasn't sure how to introduce him to my 70-year-old friends.
Damn.
What do I say?
Worst. Ugh.
What do I say? Hi, this is so-and-so. We're seeing each other. I generally just smile, tell people his name, and leave the mystery for itself, which seems to make people a little bit confused. So last night, we were on the way to a concert, and I mentioned to him, I'm not sure how to introduce you to people, asking him, can I just introduce you as my boyfriend? He then balked and said, well, there's a spectrum in dating. You could say, this is X. He and I have been dating for a while. I would like that. I was a little taken aback, and I didn't say anything and just smiled. But I'm still feeling off about this. Additionally, he doesn't know this, but me even allowing him to go to my hobbies is a big deal to me. I'm protective of my space and wouldn't let past partners come along to dog training or running club with me. In the past, my dating experience has generally been go out casually while seeing other people progressively see each other more. Eventually, a conversation is had to not see other people, but at that point, it transitions into a relationship where we're using boyfriend and girlfriend labels, and it's not awkward or premature seeming to call each other that. So what is different here? Am I seeing red flags of huge commitment issues ahead? Or him backburnering me because he thinks something better is coming? Timeline-wise, how long do I give this before his reluctance to be considered my boyfriend becomes a red flag?
Okay, yeah, no, I don't know how you feel about this, but if you have had the discussion that you are not seeing other people and you're agreeing on that, the label of boyfriend, girlfriend should come almost immediately after, if not immediately after. Like, that should be a very small window, because what the fuck are you supposed to be in between that? Like,
It's interesting, and I feel like it, because I think it can vary a little bit. I do think, I think because what people get in the trap of is they want to be in a relationship, and this doesn't sound like this situation, but there's like a whole new little relationship status called exclusive but not in a relationship right now, where someone says,
what?
Where they go and have a conversation with the person they've been dating. I really like you. What are we? So I don't like when people start that conversation with what are we. You should state what you see yourself as. But they say what are we, and then the other person says, well, we're exclusive, but we're not in a relationship. We're exclusive, but not in a relationship. And for whatever reason, those types of relationships with a lowercase never seem to become a relationship, capital letter R. Like, it seems like it's like an attempt to kick the can down the road, add more distance, more time between what they're doing in a relationship, when really it should be more of a shit or get off the pot right now. So like those, like, I feel like that kind of thing is like relatively popular. This doesn't sound like that. It sounds like, because I think there's something to be said for when you're dating. And some people just aren't multi-daters. Like, there's all this stuff where it's like, you should keep your options open. You should always be talking to multiple people. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. There are some people who just don't like to date that way, or they don't like to date that way, once they like somebody. Like, once they're past, like, a few dates in.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I never liked to multi-date. Like, people would be like, you should totally multi-date. You're going to put all your eggs in one basket. Like, for me, that alone was like, I would feel like I was going to mix up what I told a story to, or mix up someone's name. I was also always terrified I was going to, like, run into somebody. So it was always, like, I would date one person, and if I didn't like them, like...
Dating is so funny. That's, like...
No, it was never for me.
Yeah.
But there are some people... Yeah, like, for me, it's so foreign to me, this idea of, like, dating multiple people at once, and then up until, like, the day before you ask somebody to be in a relationship with you, like, you have another date with somebody else, or like within that same week or something like that. Like, I think there is natural drop off of multi-dating as you start to like somebody more.
Yes, definitely. It is a natural process for sure.
Yeah, I also think there's something to be said for that period of dating before you ask someone to be boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Like, having a period of time where there's no other distractions, no other people, of getting to figure out if this person's right for you, without, having to look down at your phone and see if somebody else texted you or something like that. And I think, I think having a conversation of like, hey, like, by the way, you're the only person I'm seeing at this point. Like, maybe you had a few dates early on, but you don't want to do that anymore, and you want to, like, let that person know, like, hey, I'm taking this seriously. Are you too? But not necessarily put that, like, title on it yet. Like, you want to say my intentions, like indicate that that's what I want, but not necessarily like, are we doing this right now? Sort of thing.
What would you say if you were her and you were like, can I just say my boyfriend? And he hit you back with that. How would you respond?
Yeah, I think in the moment, like I think if you're going like somewhere, yeah. I would probably just be like, okay, just because I feel like I get caught off guard with those types of things. I don't ever feel bad to
right.
If someone says something that like throws you off guard, like, and you react at the time by just going, oh, okay, like don't make yourself feel bad. Like don't feel like you lost your opportunity to talk.
No,
like I honestly lost your opportunity to talk.
You should fucking just be like, all right, then like I'm introducing you as my homie from here on out. Like, are you serious? Nope. Like you're my buddy from now on. Hi, this is my buddy Daniel. Like, are you serious?
Well, I think like first I do think when she says like people are must be so confused when I say this is Bob, and without saying who he is, and they're all so confused by this. They're not. Like if I like, because I've been in those situations even when I have like actual like relationships. I've just been like, because my boyfriend's name is actually Buddy. Like I've been like, hey, this is Buddy, and I maybe haven't said like this is my boyfriend Buddy, and nobody is ever like, who could this be? Like, yeah, like I think introducing someone by name is no one's confused.
But there is a layer of awkwardness because people know that it's new. People know that it's new. If you say like, oh, this is Buddy. Like,
yeah, I mean, people probably are wondering, like, when did this start, how serious it is, but I don't think they're, like, so confused in a sense, like, yeah, like, because I think there's a big difference between how you introduce someone and, like, the audience reaction versus, like, how your partner feels about it. Like, I do think, you know, keeping, like, the first person that should know that they're your significant other is that person. Yeah, like, it shouldn't be something anyone finds out publicly. Like, if you have issues, like, it shouldn't be, you know, brought to another person where like this passive aggressively being like, this is my pal, like
this is my pal.
Yeah, so I think like introducing someone by name is like, you know, I think not a weird thing. But I would say to this guy, and I would do it like behind the scenes, he doesn't need to be in front of people and not in the car when you're going somewhere, but probably like when you're back at the house, like after whatever, you know, saying, hey, like, this is going to sound silly. Maybe acknowledge like how dumb it might feel to talk about what you call something. But it's not dumb. Like, I think what you call things does matter. But hey, like, you know, this is kind of new for me, but it threw me off when I asked, can I call you my boyfriend? You know, we talked about exclusivity. You know, what did you mean by that? Because, you know, that's a little new for me. In the past, you know, when I've talked about exclusivity and, you know, we're only seeing one another, with that always came, you know, defining a relationship in the process. So this idea of, you know, seeing each other exclusively but not being in a relationship yet, like, what is the difference to you? Like, what is the difference between what we're doing now and a relationship, and what do you need to know before calling it a relationship? Like, what do you see that looking like? And kind of finding out what that means to him, because he might say like, you know, it's only been a month. Like, you know, they've been dating for a month. It seems like they're hanging out a lot. And, you know, some people would say, like, I want that time of, you know, not dating any other people, just dating each other, to really find out if this person's, like, the right fit for me to be, like, in a relationship with.
Yes.
And finding out, like, what more information they need, like, things like that. Yeah. That's what I would tell her to do. And then, of course, like, if he waffles or if it seems like he's kicking a can down the road or adding other steps or moving the goalposts, like, that's also on you to determine if that's what you want for yourself.
So interesting. It's so funny. I feel like I'm kind of going through this a little bit right now because the guy that I'm seeing has me blocked on every platform. I'm dating my ex, pretty much. That's what that amounts to. So it's complicated, but this like kind of came up the other night, and I just kind of like introduced him by his name, you know. But it's like, how do I like almost was like, oh yeah, this is my ex, like, because that's like what we call each other, like, to each other, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, what do you even?
I think,
what the hell am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah, I think just like people don't want to make things awkward. So like if someone's introduced to like a person that seems like a significant other or romantic interest by name, like they're not going to be like, what's the deal here?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I did have something like that happen. Not like it was, and like I don't want to say where the place was because I don't want to like reveal this person's identity, but I was a +1 to an event with someone, and he was around like people that were a bit older that he knew like from work and stuff, and there was like this couple that we were like sitting with that said basically something like, oh, we've got to go home and like check on the kids and stuff like that, and they turn to us and say like, oh, do you guys have any kids? And before I could just say like, oh, no, he goes, we're not married, just like loudly goes like, we're not married. It's like, okay, like, and even then it's like, no, we weren't married, but it was just like kind of jarring, kind of.
That is
like
so silly and jarring because like also the correlation between marriage and having a child, like
yeah, but I mean even that it was also just like, what are you like, who are you trying to prove like what to? Like I would have just been like, oh, nope, no kids.
Be polite. Yeah, he thinks he has to like set a really hard boundary.
Yeah,
you're gonna get the wrong idea.
Well,
like...
that's what it felt like.
Okay,
that's what it felt like, and it like made me kind of just feel.
I dated that exact type of dude. Like
yeah, like so it kind of made me feel like shitty, and that was the last time I saw him, because it was definitely because it just felt like he was trying to send a very clear message.
Yeah, and it's like, why are you acting like I'm foaming at the mouth?
Yeah, it was
be married to you. Shut up.
Yeah, it was like we didn't know each other like that well. It was just kind of such a. It was just kind of like, oh, like that felt kind of rude, but okay.
They're so unaware. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean,
so like blithely unaware.
Yeah, I mean, because I never like, I feel like my response to that kind of thing has always been like, oh, like no, like be like as cordial as possible.
Wait, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Like keep the mood up, Jesus.
Yeah. I think like something that comes like, so when you want to be like turn a dating situation into a relationship, you've dated them for X amount of time, and you are excited about them, you want to be in a relationship with them. How do you start to define the relationship conversation, aka DTR?
DTR. Oh, I'm never starting that shit for one. I mean, honestly, for me, like, I'm never starting that shit. No, as a woman, I refuse to be more into the man that I'm dating than he is into me. Like, I will never let them like believe that or know that, just because I think that the moment that you are more into him than he is into you, or like pushing for more from him, like it just kind of like will never work or be I don't know, like fulfilling and satisfying. I think if I were to do that, if I were to like push a man, I would just forever be like anxious and insecure and wondering like if I convinced him into it or I dragged him into it. So I'm always letting him ask me to be in a relationship.
Yeah, I do think, like there's just a general fear among women. Like no one wants to feel like the person who dragged a guy down the aisle.
For sure.
And like it's sort of the feeling like, he really wants it. You want him to be the one to do it. I think like I've never been a fan of like the saying of like the guy should like you so much more than you like him. I really think it should be equal, but I think just my end, like I don't want to feel like I pressured someone.
It should be equal, but it can be that he likes her more than she likes him. But I feel like if she likes him more than he likes her, like it just sucks. It'll just be like painful. I don't know. It's just not a relationship I think that like would be sustainable. I don't know. Is that sexist? I don't know.
I don't know. Because I think like there's something to be said for people like being equally excited about one another. And once you've had it where it's like, oh, it's equal back and forth, it just feels good. Because honestly,
that's why lesbian relationships are so fucking
my personal hot take, when people keep talking about avoidant attachment styles and anxious attachment styles, I'm like, this person's not an avoidant attachment, whatever. They're just avoiding you. Or because I found I have an quote-unquote avoidant attachment style when someone likes me that I don't like back. And I found I have an anxious attachment style when I like someone who doesn't like me back. Because I'm like, oh, why haven't they texted back? Like, what's going on here?
Okay.
Or if I'm like, I'm not really feeling it, it's kind of like, oh, shoot, like, what's going on here? And I think it really just has to do with interest. Like, I think it's something that's fluid. Everybody that believes in the attachment styles, which is so many people, are going to have a field day with me saying that. But I really... It's one of those fucking boxes. I hate that. I hate that just as much as I hate the Myers-Briggs and the
really the attachment styles. You're like, I feel like that shit's.
I think it's such a cop out because I think there's so many times like where it's like you'll hear from women where they're talking about a guy that is like they've been seeing off and on that's not really giving them the time of day, and then like the next thing they'll say is like, well, he's an avoidant. He had an ex, like he's still getting over his ex, and like they make all these excuses.
Baby, no,
he's an avoidant.
Not make excuses.
Blah blah blah, and it's like this.
Yeah.
I feel like almost like this diagnosis of calling someone an avoidant is keeping them hanging on versus, he's just not into this. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a crutch for people, just like I think the love languages are a crutch, just like I think astrology is bullshit.
The love languages actually was like a big, huge grift. That was like
yeah.
And like every spinoff from that.
Yeah, it's another crutch that people have to like not, step up and do what your partner wants you to do. Yeah. I guess my kind of last question before we close out, do you think, when you go from dating someone to entering a relationship, what is the big difference? What changes the second you have that conversation? The day before you define the relationship versus the day after, you're officially in a relationship. What actually changes?
The first thing that like really comes to mind is just it is now illegal to cheat. That's against the rules of the game. Like, and you will be terminated if you do it. That's, just like the most concrete thing that I can think of. But other than that, it's like defining the relationship, like referring to this person as your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your partner. And I guess like when you introduce them to people, it's different. I don't know.
To some people, and something that puzzles me is like some people, when they go to have this like define the relationship conversation, they think that life changes drastically, or like their version of defining the relationship, the person they were the day before is, a 180-degree difference from who they were, the day before they declared it a relationship. Like there's some people where it's like they continue to date or talk whatever to other people, like up until the day they define a relationship. Like that's foreign to me. Like this idea like that you're basically acting as this 100% single person and then you're going to 100% in a relationship. I think it's like more of like a dimmer switch than an on-off switch.
It's so interesting because I feel like a lot of people want the label of marriage before they have a child. Like that's like a pretty typical, like, of course not everybody does that, but I think a lot of people like they get married and then they have a baby, and so it's like there is this kind of like agreement or this pact between these two people that they will like support each other through that next step. And so I feel like just having like the definition of like we are in a relationship, we're together, it kind of like ensures that the next step
that we're we're moving forward. Acknowledgement of because I think that's something that people are afraid of too, is just this idea that you're taking one step, it means someone's going to be expecting the next step. Like, right, we're in a relationship, then then they're going to want an engagement ring, then they're going to want to get married, and like prolonging that next step because maybe they don't feel ready because the train doesn't turn back around. It just keeps going forward. True. Yep. Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about, and I guess this will be my kind of last question. Last question on this topic. Couples that, the day they define the relationship, they have some sort of a conversation where they go to each other's Instagrams and then they want the other person to go through and unfollow or block certain people. Like, let's go check each other's follower list. Like, something that bugs me, like I'll say, is like people who will go through dating somebody and they'll have certain things that they don't necessarily like about what that person's doing, but they feel like they can't speak up because they're not in a relationship yet. For example, he still follows his ex, or he likes bikini models on Instagram, or something like that. Oh my God, dude. And like, rather than saying something like as they're dating, or like, saying like, I don't like that he does that, maybe I don't want to be in a relationship with him. They keep dating, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we've defined the relationship. Let's go to Instagram, and now we're gonna go delete and unfollow people. By the way, go unfollow these people. It's like they've made a list, and they don't present that list of grievances until they've defined the relationship.
Yeah, I guess that is tough. I mean, I feel like the first step would be like, could you delete the pictures of you and your ex? And then you can kind of go into like, hey, can you actually are you following your ex? Like, do they follow you? Like, don't you feel like that's like a little weird or whatever?
I just think that's something like that, holding off on saying anything until you're like in a relationship or something. I think that's like kind of annoying when people, because the person you date becomes the person you're in a relationship with. Like, I don't know, like like I said about the whole like define the relationship. Like some people like the way they act like the day before versus the day they become in a relationship.
Yeah.
They think it's just like this drastically different thing. And I'm like, no, it's not an on-off switch. It's like a dimmer. I don't know. That's my take.
Yeah. I would say. So that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Let me go.
No.
Okay.
No, this has been a good episode. I think we'll close this one out though. All right.
Okay. Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye.